A good boss can make a great game that much more awesome. A lame boss, on the other hand, can make you regret ever picking up the controller in the first place. In this video, we take a look at some of the worst bosses in video game history. If you fought them, you probably remember, and you probably wished you didn't have to go through the awful experience again by watching this video. Yeah, sorry for that. Here are our top 10 horrible boss fights that almost ruined their games.
You look fucked up, even by your fucked up standards.
Let's move. We've got 10 minutes before the reactor overloads and blows this whole station apart.
The Terminator, as it's often called, is our disappointment with the otherwise excellent Mass Effect 2. The most epic game in the series has this completely unnecessary boss fight that really feels out of place. The Reaper was created by the Collectors using a substance made from thousands of abducted human colonists.
It appears the Collectors have processed tens of thousands of humans. Significantly more will be required to complete the Reaper.
The fight itself is pretty easy, as it turns Mass Effect 2 into an arcade game. Shepard must hide behind cover to avoid its charged blast beam and shoot at weak points until it dies. It almost feels like BioWare ran out of money and had to pull the plug on development early. The last few hours of Final Fantasy IX really build up to an amazing ending. That is until this random being appears that was given no prior mention in the story, and now he wants to destroy the world. Necron is barely explained and seems thrown in just to give the player one last challenge. That challenge is considerable, as you have to level beyond level 70 to even stand a chance. He would have been so much better as an optional secret boss, but right now he just feels like a cheap way to lengthen an already long game. You don't even feel great after defeating him because he had no real role in the story until the very end.
Oh my god!
In space, no one can hear how lame the fight against this massive space tentacle monster is. After hours of sneaking through creepy corridors, the final boss lacked all of the suspense that the rest of the game used so well. This thing looks like a reject from the Lost Planet series with its massive tentacles and glowing weak spots. All you have to do is dodge the limbs, pump a couple of rounds into its glowy bits, and wait for it to die. It's a classic case of a final boss that really undersells the ending of an otherwise incredible game.
What about your survival plan?
Fuck the lifeboat, Jack! We're just gonna let the clock run out on this and be done with it.
Quantum Break has a terrible final boss that has a couple of fatal flaws. Your fight against Paul Littlefinger Serena has a lengthy cutscene after each death in the boss battle. He's also spamming a screen-filling kill all, attack your way. Get caught in it and it's game over, instantly, which will happen because you have to take care with a bunch of other guys too. Both these things mean that you will experience many cheap deaths and have to sit through a cutscene or load screen to retry. The whole thing's a gigantic rage-inducing mess. It really is one of the most tedious and cheap boss fights we've ever seen.
Sergeant, get your team ready to go inside.
Borderlands was a very original shooter when it came out that added loot and lots of good jokes to the genre. It's disappointing that the game's final confrontation with the Destroyer is so unchallenging and unrewarding. The fight is nothing more than monotonously pumping rounds into clearly visible and well-exposed weak points. Worst of all, the Destroyer doesn't even change position or make any attempt at maneuvering, which makes it feel more like an execution. After so much investment in building up the ultimate badass character, this was a true failure of a boss. The Destroyer undermined all the looting and leveling we had put so much time in, and that's a real shame.
You must.
After many hours of crowbarring your way through realistic-looking environments, Half-Life suddenly takes you to another dimension. Here you find yourself battling a final boss who resembles a demonic, fat-headed baby. If that isn't weird enough, at some point its head peels open like a banana so it can shoot lightning at you. The fight against the baby alien is as basic as it gets. You simply shoot it in the face until it dies. Occasionally, you'll have to dodge too. The whole fight is boring, and it doesn't help that it takes place in one of the lamest and ugliest levels in the game. Half-Life proves that some games just don't need final boss battles.
I have nothing to live for.
The Joker was an awesome enemy throughout Batman Arkham Asylum. He played interesting mind games and managed to actually trick the Batman a couple of times. That's why it's extremely disappointing when he just turns into a generic monster at the end of the game. The super mutant version of Joker follows you around a circular battlefield, swinging his mutant arms at you before hopping up onto a platform and sending waves of thugs at you.
In you come, boys. I've softened them up for you.
These thugs are incredibly annoying because each type requires a different set of moves to defeat. The whole thing is a very anticlimactic end to an otherwise amazing game. We absolutely loved Deus Ex: Human Revolution when it came out. The freedom this game gave you was exceptional. It's possible to play it like most other shooters by going in guns blazing and spending your upgrade points to boost your weapon abilities. But if you feed your points into the stealth abilities, you can play the game without killing anybody. This is until the first boss shows up. Due to what must be an oversight on the developer's part, there's no way to get past the bosses without killing them, which means that specializing in stealth leaves you unequipped to do so. Fighting the first boss, Lawrence Barrett, offers a rude awakening to anyone going the pacifist route. I never asked for this, never felt more appropriate.
I never asked for this.
Shao Kahn is one of the most infuriating bosses in the history of gaming. This skull-faced creep is one of the cheapest fighting game opponents you'll ever face. He spams moves over and over, locking you in animations so you can't do anything. His attacks do a crazy amount of damage and he teleports all over the arena. Try fighting him fair and square and you'll end up breaking your controller in half.
Shao Kahn wins.
The only reliable method to defeat him is to fight fire with fire and spam cheat moves of your own. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. BioShock is the masterpiece that was just one step away from true greatness. That one step is the horrible final boss, Frank Fontaine. This giant stone Hulk feels completely out of place in the amazing BioShock universe. It's basically a fight against a naked bloke who, after spending some time getting juiced in a chair, throws some ice and fire your way while charging around a bit. Even game director Ken Levine admitted that the final boss was a big letdown. You have this great game and then you end up fighting this giant nude dude. We didn't have a better idea, he said to Rolling Stone magazine last year. Well, at least he's honest about it. What's the worst boss in your opinion? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Shao Kahn wins.